government and we are here to listen. You have come here all 3 days. So we listen to you. So remove from your mind this notion that the reason you want to have central bank is because you don't have alpha. Now, Deputy President is here. Minister for Agriculture is here. Now, how high else did you want in terms of how we can resolve this issue? I think even alpha leadership is here, the chairman and the CEO. So please remove from your mind. I know for those of us from the 70s and 80s, it is nostalgic to talk about CBK. But let us look beyond nostalgia. What is it? And on that issue also, now the KPCU, you've talked about KPCU. So you have got Federation on one side, KPCU on another, and now you are Coffee Board or AFA, whatever it is. How are they going to relate? Who is going to operate KPCU? Can we devolve KPCU to the counties, for example? Or how do you see this happening? I have also heard you talk about packaging, and it is interesting. Maybe I will need to check with you guys, because in the finance bill, we have removed the VAT for packaging of tea. Maybe it's a small oversight to leave coffee out, but the majority leader is here. He can just send one WhatsApp message, na mko sorted katika hiyo maneno. So maybe we need to look at that. Maybe it was a small oversight ya watu ya majani chai, because walifika kwa mkubwa. Sasa na nyinyi mmefika hapa, tuko hapa viongozi. Maybe something we can sort out here and now, so that even when we are fighting for finance bill, simjue kwa nini mnaipigania. Mjue mko hapo ndani, mambo yenu iko hapo ndani. So honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, pengine hapa hii ndio support ya finance bill iko hapa. Wakulima wa kahawa ukiwawekea hiyo packaging utoe, tutakuwa sawa. Then finally on DSS, direct settlement. Me, I think in the spirit of what Governor Cecily Balile started in the morning, for those who don't know, direct settlement system is whereby all marketers give money to one bank or to several banks, and then those banks kila mtu aende na yake kama ile ya Kaisari. If you imagine, we have got 40 million metric tons. How many marketers do you have? 20. So kila mtu akona kama 40,000 metric tons. So kila mtu hapa akona 2,000 metric tons. Kwani wanakula nini? Si pesa yenu wanakula? So to remove that thing, me, I would want to ask my brother CS Rinturi, since this DSS was advertised, it was passed, it was advertised, it just needs to be operationalized. Si utoe sauti kidogo useme from Monday marketers wote waweke pesa kwa DSS, you can select the bank, mkila mkulima pate yake. Mkila mkulima akipata yake, pengine hata hiyo tunasema hustler fund, nani ataendea pesa kama yake imeingia. But I think this DSS thing is a very important tool, and it's a very immediate tool we can be able to use. At least mkulima aanze kuchagamka kidogo. We don't need to pass legislation because it's already passed. We don't need to do anything. Tender was done by the Ministry of Agriculture. CS Rinturi just need to go back to the office, dust the files, appoint a bank. Then the bank from next week, mtu akosa pesa, asiulize marketer, anauliza a bank. I don't know if you do support that. Thank you. Let them answer.
Okay. I'll try to respond to some of them. And I want first of all to correct you, Bwana CS. This morning you said we can roast our coffee and sell value add. There is no country in the world that has succeeded in that. Ethiopia tried. They have one core, that is, they have one core, a company trying to roast in order to export. They failed. They have never exported. So if we have to value add, that is unknown. By the way, if you roast our coffee and value add, is that customer looking for medium roast, dark roast, or what? So the easiest way, coffee beans are always sold in green beans. And I would like anybody doubting that to tell me any part that has succeeded. But it is very easy for us to roast that coffee and sell it here. But once again, why sell it here? Like what CS Cherugui said, Ethiopia produced 760,000 metric tons of coffee last year, and they sold 320,000 metric tons. So more than 50% was consumed in Ethiopia. But how many coffee factories does Ethiopia have? Only 3 coffee factories. Murang'a County has 10. So they don't have, certainly they don't have coffee. So the issue of drinking our coffee, even in Ethiopia, they want to export more coffee to get more dollars instead of selling locally. So that one must be understood. Let's come to DSS. Is that our problem really, farmers? Is DSS our problem? I would like those farmers who are here, who will tell me that DSS is the problem and is the one to give you money to start up. Is that our problem, farmers? No. No. DSS is not our problem. Let me take an example. According to the rules you have, or the government has, I'm supposed to be paid 80%, at least 80% of the total proceeds, the total sale. I was paid 60. 60 divided by 80 times 100 is 75. So, the only amount that maybe went somewhere, maybe is less than 3 shillings. So, let's not look at the problem where it is not. The problem is in the marketing. And once we now aggregate, that one is done. Let me touch the issue on the issue of Coffee Board and KPCU. I will not touch anything to do with the federation. We need a strong body to represent the farmers. Right now, there is NASU, there is another one. In fact, others will form widowers with coffee, widows with coffee. Others will even come up with youth with coffee. Those. We need one strong body to speak on behalf of the farmers. In a country like Ethiopia, they have Ethiopia Tea and Coffee Authority. So we need one body to speak on behalf of the farmers. Maybe the government can have maybe 5, and then farmers can have 10, and they must be representing coffee. For example, my governor Murago is here, and one of the counties leading in coffee production is Kirinyaga. So if Kirinyaga is doing 16% and Kiabu is doing 20%, Nyeri is doing around 13%, so 13% of the representatives must come from those areas because we are representing coffee. So once we have that body, that is the one now to man anything from top to bottom. KPCU. KPCU will just be there as an agency. KPCU will just be there as an agency, but not really as a marketer. I don't know, those who are here to make the rules will tell us more. But the agency is, they bring your coffee here as a factory from Gatodo. Let's say Gatodo, because that is where Moses Kuria comes from. Once the buyer register interest in your coffee, the agency will tell you there is this buyer from China who want to buy your coffee. Do you want to sell? Yes. How much? There is that set price. So if you sell that coffee, everybody in your cooperative will know we have sold at this much. So any other kind of calculation done within there, it is very open. We have sold at $10 per kg. So if you pay me at 130 or 120 or anything, where has the other money gone? So where does the DSS come from? I think the others can continue.
And maybe don't repeat the question. If it has been answered, answer a different one. Okay,
I'll answer a different one.
Yeah.
For the CS Courier, he's talked about the DSS. But during our presentations, we said we need to have the 2 windows or the 3. If somebody wants to sell the coffee through the CMA, they depend on the DSS, that is well and good. Allow the farmers to have the options or the alternatives. Let us maintain the direct sale and then see. Sorry? No, I'm not in the market of the marketer, and I'm a farmer. Why? You cannot judge me, I'm a farmer, you cannot doubt me as a farmer whereby we need to maintain the NCE. Look at the gradings of the coffee. We cannot afford to sell out the coffee through the direct sale, and we've sold coffee. I'm not a cartel, you can use the words, I'm a farmer and I've never been a cartel. I work with what I have. And that is my feeling. Why is it that you have to go the way you want us to go? You ask us for the opinion, and that's the opinion that I'm giving. Number two, on the same bill of parliament, you talked about 10% going to the societies and the factories for running of the management. Here, we are talking about a farmer who is producing 14 million kilos of coffee, whereby there is another society that is producing less than 100,000. So when we give them the 10% as the law, we cap, that is what we give for the management. And through giving and opening the window for the misappropriations, why can't it be individualized for the societies to come up with how much they are going to use from the farmers' proceeds? Because 10% of the factories with 14 million, what is that money to run the facility? So it's the same way. You know, that's a feeling, and also we have that feeling of us. Then on the aggregating of the coffee, it's just the same way that we take the coffee to be somewhere. Then we wait for to look for the market. Because when you tell me that I have a direct contact with the buyer, where is the roadmap? How many of us are able to do and get these marketers or the buyers of this coffee to come directly to buy the coffee at the farms? And that's when we thought as farmers and felt that if we put this coffee together to aggregate is not to bulk the coffee. Then when the coffee is at the same place, anybody can come and buy the coffee there. So that makes me a cartel. Well,
I want to defend you. It was so clear. I listened to Cecily Balide. At no point does the farmer become those other things. But the marketer can become whatever, but for the farmer, wacha tukalie pale. Let's allow the Sabina, and then we sang as we move. Tunakuja. So,
thank you very much, the moderator. And allow me first to congratulate these farmers who are here. Well, majority of the farmers gave up on coffee. They went to real estate. You stood the test of the day, and you are still doing coffee farming. Maybe Your Excellency would have had more time to actually hear from each and every farmer, because I can see only a few are taking the microphone. And we have several of them I hear from, I don't know, Kirinyaga, where they are doing very well in the sales, and they can share with us, because not all of us are farmers, to hear your success stories and what has enabled you to reach where you are, and how we, maybe as the lawmakers, can be able to help you achieve more. Your Excellency, I believe a lot of things that we are talking here today and the issue of implementation, the confusion is created by the same people who we are calling cartels. So that there are so many laws around, and so we are not able to figure out. Because every other time I had Madam, when she was doing the presentation, saying you have several husbands. Where you have said we belong to the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Cooperative, and another ministry, I think, industrialization. So my question is, which husband do you prefer more among the many that you have? Where would you want to call home? Because you are the farmers. That is my question. And question number two, you've talked about the bags. And we are doing the calculations here with my colleagues. We saw like a bag is costing around 500 shillings. So my question is it a special bag? Is it something that can be done in Kenya? Because I can hear Honorable Moses Kuria is keeping on telling the colleagues, take this up. And I want now to take it up to him. Moses Kuria, take it up. Can't we make these bags in Kenya? As we are talking about creating jobs and even allocating money in the budget, then how can we be able to make those bags? Or are they digital bags, or how are they? We can be able to do it here locally, maybe cut the cost and also create jobs for our local people. And so Moses Kuri, I hope you can be able to take that. And the final one, Your Excellency, you are fighting against alcohol in Kenya. And I want to suggest that now, if we come up with coffee shops in our regions, together with the governors, and we have a partnership, might be down to our villages, instead of opening bars, we start opening coffee shops, And then we partner with Ministry of IT, where maybe when they're going to have these coffee shops, we have a lot of our young people, they can be able to access to free Wi-Fi, they can be able to learn a few more things. We may be able to promote, one, consumption of coffee locally. Number two, we may be able to achieve also minimization of the many bars that we are having in our region and the current alcoholism problem that we have in Kenya. So I believe that local production and local consumption will be able to help us. Finally, is about how you are able to sell your coffee. I was brought up in a T-zone, and Your Excellency, might be when you spoke about us next 2 weeks going to Kericho, I was thinking those guys are very big growers, and they are large scales, and I have been biased to myself with Wamaua and the rest from Murang'a. We have the largest and the majority of tea factories in the country. Maybe we would have gone to Murang'a, but we don't mind going to Kericho. But my question was, the issue of guaranteed minimum returns. I have not heard you as farmers talk much about the coffee theft, what has been happening, and the security. What would be the solution if, for instance, we are saying we are expecting the coffee might be per kg, the total return would be 200 shillings. So we say then by the time you are taking your coffee to the factory, the government to come up with a fund where, or the fund that comes in, a farmer is paid 100 shillings upon delivery, so that by the time we do the rest of the things, the farmer already have a guaranteed minimum return that can be able to help them improve the coffee and improve everything else. When you talk about the direct and all these other agencies that we are talking, there's a lot of confusion. But once as a farmer, I know I'll get my 100 shillings, and I wait maybe for a month or 2 months to get the other 100, and I know my coffee is secure, then I'll add more on production. So I want to urge you, because I had here names, cartels and everything else, have the best interest of the farmers, and I congratulate you because you are the farmers. You have been there. Advise us more on how we can be able to help your work become better. And I hope that we are going to have a breakthrough for once about the coffee sector. May God bless you.
Thank you very much. Someone to answer?
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think for the export bags, we have the ability. Most of the bags that we use is the jute bags. And I understand that some parts of our country do grow sisal, and that one is going to, if we have locally produced packaging material, it is going to assist us in terms of getting actually on saving on cost. Apart from that, the same issue of bags, at times we have same problem. Shortage of bags throughout the country, that you cannot even package your coffee, and that one is a big problem. But we believe that we are going to get that. Okay,
thank you, Governor Sang, and then we come here. Let's finish.
They have not to tell their husband.
Yeah, they will tell us about that. That will be the last question as they consort, because someone may stand and we will need them to consult and tell us who is the best husband.
And maybe before we answer that one,
yes,
I want to request indulgence that we be tolerant to divergent views and opinions.
Yes.
You don't have to agree with what the farmers are saying. Just keep quiet and listen, because all of us are being given a chance to say what you think can help. I don't think it is dignifying to call these farmers cartels, because they're just giving an opinion, and we are tolerant people. Our government is one of continuous engagement. This public participation is a healthy thing. I think let's all be very tolerant and have the dignity to listen, and even where you don't agree, you will be given an opportunity to say so in a language that has decorum, so that we are all good people.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for the guidance. Governor Sang.
Thank you very much. A few issues. You in your presentation, farmers, and congratulate all of you for that elaborate presentation on your part. You are asking for KPCU assets to go back to farmers. There is another danger. Have you considered the liabilities of KPCU? Because you can't just choose what to take. If the organization has its fair share of liabilities that could actually consume even the value of the assets, I think that is something that you want to think through. Secondly, and maybe this is more also to ourselves as, particularly the legislators, there is a huge outcry by farmers and sectors that they want to go back to. I mean, and if you had every presentation this morning, it was like, we want to take coffee to where it used to be. The same thing will happen with the tea. We want to go to where we were. The same thing has been happening with sugarcane. We want to go to where we were. But what got us to where we are right now is that we broke some of the institutions that farmers are asking right now in the 3 sectors were institutions that we actually collapsed ourselves and created something called AFA, or is it AFA? So it seems that we may not have thought it wise or thought it well for us to break these, all these institutions into one organization. And I see the point by farmers that assuming the cartels are very strong in the agriculture sector, they could sit the entire AFA and all the farmers in sugarcane, in tea would suffer. So I think I personally want to say that this aspect of Coffee Board of Kenya being reinstated is a good thing. It's something we are pushing in tea, it is something we are pushing in sugarcane, and therefore that is a fair point by the farmers. We only want to, I would have wanted to hear very strongly, when Sales spoke, you would forgive her for thinking that she is, a farmer and not a governor. When you came in as farmers, you didn't speak very strongly about these cartels. Sometimes, and see, this is sometimes we are getting a lot of feedback also, saying that a little bit of that comment seems to be a comment that would sit well with some of those cartels. We are not saying that you are, but some of the comments we are getting from the farmers representative, and I got worried a little bit when I had selected farmers, select. So the question is, who did the selection? Because we could be receiving a point that does not reflect the entire view of farmers, but actually a team of farmers that is fairly elite. So can you make us comfortable that what you are telling us is exactly the view of the farmers? I do a lot of, Nandi County is growing in terms of coffee. In fact, it's very speaking up right now. I haven't seen any of my farmers here. My question is, the selection process of the farmers to come here, how did my farmers fail to be part of this engagement? And therefore, I am at constraint to believe that what you are telling us is exactly what would represent my farmers in Nandi and many other areas. So when we raise some of these things, allow us, listen to us, because I think also we are getting feedback.
Share the mics.
We are getting feedback from our representatives, and it would also make more sense if you can also spread so that we do not have 3, 4. Can we also hear the others? I see wonderful people here. Can the microphone also get to them so that we are comfortable that we are speaking from the same page?
Maybe we could also say that it is okay to answer in whichever language you want to answer.
Yes, wasn't it?
Because when you farm, you don't farm in English. Kindly.
All protocol observed, good afternoon. God is good all the time. Our president and our deputy president wametufunza mambo ya kanisa. Si ni kweli? Kanisa tukiwa kila pahali tukiwa tunafanya mambo ya church. Leo nataka kuongea kwa niaba ya vijana. Na nimetoka Tharaka Nithi. Muthomi Njuki ndiye gavana wangu, baba yao ndiye MP wangu. Nimetoka Tharaka Nithi na nikakuja hapa. Our deputy president, mimi nikisoma nikiwa mtoto, tulikuwa tunaambiwa backbone ya economy yetu ni kahawa na chai. Si ni kweli? Si ni kweli? Agriculture, si mnijibu ni hata mimi nisikie nasema kitu. Tukiwa watoto tulikuwa tunaambiwa agriculture ndio backbone ya our economy. Si ni kweli? But sasa wakati mambo imegeuka, na our deputy president nimefurahia sana wakati sisi ni Balili, the governor of Embu, amesimama hapa akasema ukweli mtupu. Kwa sababu ungesimamisha cartels hapa na sisi farmers ungeona tofauti. Si ni kweli? Wale vitambi ziko huku, ngata ziko huku, sisi hatuna kakitu. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kusema hivi. Kwanza mimi Tharaka Nithi pale kama kijana, wakati nilielewa vijana, nataka kuongea mambo ya hii board, tunasikia board. Wakati hapa pale Tharaka Nithi, wakati nilimaliza college, nikarealize hakuna kazi. Hata nilikuwa naongea na MLA hapa namwambia mambo ni mbaya. Mimi nilianza kukusanya farmers na watafutia mizinga kwa sababu hii mambo ya pollinations. So currently sasa nimetafutia more than 20 farmers mizinga ili wakati kahawa inatoa flowering ifanye nini? Mambo ya pollination. Are together? Kwa sababu tunaongea mambo ya kahawa na tujui. Mimi nikiwa mtoto ulikuwa unaamka asubuhi unachuna kahawa before uende shule. Lakini saa hii ili kahawa ikuwe na market kwa hii nchi yetu ya Kenya, tukiwa watoto, nikiwa mtoto mdogo nilikuwa nasikia mambo ya maziwa ya Nyayo. Kwa hivyo locally pia tunaweza we can also produce the market locally kwa sababu if for example we say every school will be consuming coffee, isn't that enough market for our coffee? Isn't it? Si ni kweli? So ni ile kitu tunahitaji katika nchi yetu ya Kenya ni kuambiana ukweli. Na mimi nashukuru sana kwa sababu ni ngumu sana katika serikali zimepita. Unaona naibu wa rais ameketi siku 2-3 anasikiza farmers. Hii ni kitu ambayo haijawezekana. Kwa hivyo our deputy president, thank you very much for listening to us. Hata kama tutasema vitu ambavyo mimi haziendani na venye policies zinatengenezwa, mtatusamea kwa sababu bado tuko huku mashambani, si kweli? Mimi tunatumia language ambayo haiko free na nyinyi. Kwa sababu nyinyi mnatumia policy making language. Sisi tunatumia mambo ya kahawa, mambo ya majani huko kwa shamba. Na maybe that may be the difference why maybe sometimes you may see as if there is a difference between us and you there, because the language maybe you are using is maybe different from what you are using. But sisi tuna represent the ground iko hivyo. Our deputy
hebu niulize swali. Wale watu walizungumza hapa walizungumza juu ya, did they speak on your behalf? Wale walitusomea vitu hapa, did they speak on your behalf?
Wale waliongea hapa ni wale ambao walituwakilisha.
So did they speak on your behalf?
Waliongea on our behalf.
Very good. Now that you are guided, I want you to respond to what Governor Sang has said. Si uliandika? So that you, because now una introduce vitu mpya.
Hapana. Seriously. Wacha nijibu, nimeandika. In fact nimeandika kwa smartphone. Kwa hivyo nawakilisha vijana.
Ndio hivyo.
Nawakilisha vijana.
Just guidance kidogo Wewe unajua ni digital.
Mimi sijaandika kwa karatasi.
Haya, andika. Very good.
Nimeandika hapa. Kwa hivyo our governor of Nandi ameuliza mambo na coffee board. Akaona kulingana na yeye coffee board itasaidia mkulima apate mapato mfukoni. Si ni kweli? So mimi nataka kujibu nikwambie hivi governor, coffee board ikisaidiwa na goodwill ya serikali ambayo tumeiona farmers watapata kitu mfukoni. Kwa hivyo sisi kama farmer pia tunaunga mkono coffee board iendeshe shughuli zote za kahawa ili mwananchi, kwa sababu the denominator in whatever you are doing, a farmer should be having something on the pocket. Na farmer akiwa na something on the pocket, hata hii mambo ya tunasema mambo ya financial haitakuwa na issue kwa sababu kila mtu atakuwa na uwezo wa kununua. Otherwise, thank you very much. Nangavana Mutembei, thank you very much.
Asante sana. There was another question to respond to. Yes.
Let me respond to Governor Sang.
Thank you.
About not mentioning cartels. Governor Sang, we gave the solution. If we aggregate our coffee here, and every factory has its coffee, and the buyer is on the other side, whether it's from China or America, where is the cartel coming in? Where? So we gave the solution. Aggregate the coffee, final.
Maybe just, can you give this one to stand? Mwalimu, simama hapo. Tell them unauza kahawa yako pesa ngapi na unatumia cartel gani na pesa inaingiaje. He is among the chairmen who are getting the best. So wacha atuambie hiyo cartel yake ni gani.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency. Nikisimama hapa, acha niguse kidogo kabla nifike hapo juu ya governance. Nikisimama hapa, mimi nasikia uchungu kwa sababu mnatuita cartel. Sisi wakulima. Na vile nafanya bidii nione mkulima wangu enda juu. Kwa hivyo tuwezi sema there are some leadership in factories or societies who are not doing what is supposed to be done. But my big question is, who's to blame? All cooperative societies are under supervision of Department of Cooperative. The bad thing is, how cooperative officers, they are always there. Lakini siku ile society itaanguka, ndio wakati wana kuja. Who has failed? For sure. It is the government itself. So I think from now you should not be blaming the organization, blame the Department of Cooperative. For sure. Okay. Daroine, I'm the chairman. Now, I think I'm the only factory I've managed to pay 100 shillings and above for 9 consecutive years. Listen, and the only secret, as a reader, I should take control of my coffee. And that's what I have done. Yes, the Kenya law today require I appoint a marketer and a miller. I also do that. And I wish today the law is going to change. I don't have to appoint those. I do it myself. Okay, what I do is I have to make a fora for my coffee. And in fact, if my marketer sells 2 bags of coffee or 100, I do my calculation. Where am I heading to? Am I heading to pay my farmer 60 or 80? My marketer sells another bunch of 200. I do a calculation. I know I'm heading to 100 now. As I start here today, for sure, we have agreed with our farmers, they should not be paid below 100. Sometimes it give me a lot of stress. Sio mimi nauza kahawa, lakini when I for my coffee, naambia my marketer, hiyo kahawa ukiuza na hiyo bei utaniua. But I always take care the quality of my coffee is good. It depends. If you have a good quality, you have powers to negotiate, for sure. But if you don't have a quality, you don't have that powers. We agreed from farmers, let us do good farming. We produce quality coffee. As it is now, we get our coffee according to A, B, PB, C, and make sure A, B, and PB, where the coffee money is, we get over 95%. That way I can manage to pay over 100 all the years. And that way made me produce 1.9 million as a single factory last year. In 2019, I got a direct buyer by the name of Traboka. We agreed, the farmers, okay, there before I had paid 300 for more than 4 years. We agreed he should pay my farmer 100 shillings. And in fact, I sold my coffee in form of parchment. I paid my farmers when the coffee was still in the factory. And in fact, if we can allow the buyer to come direct, buy my coffee in form of parchment, that's where the benefit is. I think we should stop talking about all the value addition. Let us value add what we are consuming locally. And for me, I do value add my coffee for local consumption. We call it Mount Kenya AA coffee. Your Excellency, I shall make sure you get a packet of that.
Thank you, Chair.
Yes.
I know you have now passed the message.
Yes.
The only thing you didn't tell them is that you are radical. No, don't go there. That's between me.
Just mention it.
No,
yes.
You know what I meant. He is in my county.
Let me say something.
Yeah, just mention that little. And so,
to succeed in this business, Your Excellency, of coffee, we must make radical changes, as my governor is saying.
yeah.
Anything short of that, we are just going round and round. Let us assume there are no laws governing coffee. We start afresh and we move on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have already had. Just a minute. Now we are. Roger, I'm getting.
I think, Governor,
yeah,
we need to wind up with the farmers because we need to give the members of National Assembly.
Yeah.
I think we have had quite a bit.
Yes.
And Chairman Daroine factory is in my former constituency. And I want to confirm that all what we are talking about is leadership.
Yes.
This chairman has offered good leadership because his neighboring society in the same topography, the same soil, the same people does very badly.
Yeah.
It's about leadership and what he is saying, the ability to make hard decisions.
Correct.
So I even as we do these changes, we must look at the Cooperative Act and we must come up with an integrity criteria so that you put the right people in leadership. Because even this country, even all companies, even all institutions, they are as good as the leadership. So farmers, tumeshukuru ndio tuende to the next session.
Asante sana.
Asante sana, mwapigie makofi.
Wapigiwe makofi mazuri. Thank you very much. Asante.
Governor, thank you kidogo. Nimepewa zawadi ya His Excellency.
Kuja upatie. Kuna zawadi hapo.
Hii ni awamu.
Hii ni Kipkelion. Yes. Your Excellency. Please, what we are talking.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
His Excellency akiona kahawa tofauti tofauti kutoka wakulima wetu. Asante sana. Your Excellency, sir, when all is really said and done, it all ends in unlocking legislation and policy to ensure success in this sector. With your kind permission, sir, I wish to invite Majority Leader in the National Assembly, Kimani Ichung'wah, to kindly lead us through the next session, whereby we'll also have a plenary from the joint representative from the Senate and National Assembly. Welcome, Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Cabinet Secretary is present, members of Parliament, our farmers and all stakeholders, good evening. I think in the interest of time, we'll be very quick, Your Excellency, and I want to begin with very brief remarks just in relation to some of the issues that have been mentioned. Top among those issues, Your Excellency, is the coffee bill that was before the Senate in the last assembly, or rather in the 12th Parliament, which lapsed at the end of the 12th Parliament. But I'm happy to inform this forum that that bill has since been reintroduced. It was reintroduced in April of this year. It has already gone through the first reading in the Senate, and the Senate Committee on Agriculture, the Standing Committee on Agriculture, whose chairman is the first person I will invite here, the Honorable Senator Omurango from Kirinyaga County, has already conducted, together with our senator from Nyeri, the Senator Matinga, and the Standing Committee, they've already gone through public participation. And I'm certain they have met many of these farmers back in their localities, besides those who are here, even those farmers back in our localities. We anticipate, and I'm told from the Senate reliably, that this bill is due for second reading. Hopefully this coming week on Wednesday, although we are consulting with Senator for Kirinyaga and agreeing that we need to incorporate all the views that we hear in this forum and other fora before they go for second reading, so that whatever they get out of this forum will enrich part of their debate in the Senate. And I'm sure I have seen him together with the other senator, Senator Karongo Adangwa, Senator Matinga here, taking notes, including the Senator for the Tharaka Nithi. They have been taking notes, and I'm sure they will have a more enriched debate when this second reading begins in the Senate. We anticipate, and Your Excellency would have agreed with Senator Mrango and our chair of the Agriculture Committee in the National Assembly, that they will work together also with the Coffee Caucus led by Honorable Amoshomba, the Member of Parliament for Githunguri, to work together to ensure that when the bill leaves the Senate, they are largely agreed on between the Senate and the National Assembly, so that we don't have back and forth between the two houses. And the two chairs of the committees will be consulting together with the members of the Coffee Caucus so that they sit together and have an agreed on bill, so that we save on time. We don't have to come make amendments in the National Assembly, send it back to the Senate for concurrence or to take it through mediation. And Your Excellency, I must thank you and your office, because this forum here serves as part of that enrichment program towards what will come into that bill. And we've had many issues, right from what our farmers are saying and all the other stakeholders, from the direct sales. And Your Excellency, you must forgive me, because Kikuyu constituency, we don't have a single bush of coffee. Therefore, all these things, you can trust me. If you don't trust any other member of parliament, trust me, because I have no vested interest. Those who are coffee growers, some may be roped in by those people are here being called cartels. Those are here being called marketers. Therefore, you can rest assured that you are leader of majority, having no vested interest. I will be your gatekeeper and your watchman to ensure that at least, and that's why, Your Excellency, even not coming from a constituency that grows coffee, I took keen interest to be here so that we make sure that the views that come from this forum, and even those that the Senate has collected, and we've agreed with Honorable Mutunga, that even when the bill comes to the National Assembly, if he is going through public participation, he must go right down to where the farmers are, so that even the fears and the anxiety that may be in this room, that maybe not all the farmers are well represented here with what Senator Sang was calling select farmers. We get to where the farmers are, right in their cooperatives and in where their farms are, so that they also hear from farmers and enrich the debate. Lastly, Your Excellency, there is something that was mentioned that by, I think, Mushwe Mwalimu, that Ethiopia, they are consuming almost 50% of their coffee. We must ask ourselves, how many of us in this forum here have taken a cup of coffee today? And maybe it's a cultural thing. We are more of a tea nation than a coffee drinkers nation. So we grow coffee, but we expect others to take our coffee and not ourselves. And probably that's one of the other things that CS Moses Kuria and CS Linturi will need to work on, as Honorable Sabina was saying, to also have a culture change in what we take, not just from alcohol, even those who can partake of coffee, to partake of coffee as a beverage to take. With those few remarks, Your Excellency, allow me to invite the Honorable Senator for Kirinyaga, the Honorable Senator for Nyeri County, the Honorable Wamatinga, or Senator Wamatinga, also to be joined by our chair in the National Assembly of the Agriculture Committee, the Honorable Mutunga, the chair of the caucus, the Honorable Governor Amoshomba, Member of Parliament for Githunguri, the Honorable Member for Tinderet, Julius Meli. I did hear your governor complain that your farmers are not represented, but at least the representative of farmers in the name of the Member of Parliament from Nandi County is here. We have the Honorable Washira Karani from Laikipia. I was hoping when I heard the governor say the two wards that are coffee growing, I hope they are from the Honorable Washira's constituency. Oh, they are? Laikipia West. Honorable Washira is here. Honorable Sabina Shege, who happens to be also the Jubilee Party leader. We will not keep you for long, I know. Your Excellency, I know where Sabina is going. She has to attend to a medical appointment in Nairobi. And since there's one more seat, let me also invite the Honorable Mukunji from Embu, if he's still here. Mukunji, yuko? Honorable Mukunji, sasa tumejua wale wamesneak. Where is he? Honorable Mukunji, we're inviting you here. I was just about to announce there's no quorum since you are not there. There's a seat for you here. I want to begin by inviting the Honorable Gathoni Wamuchomba. I believe you have a short presentation. I hope it's not very long. Then
the issue that we had has already been discussed.
So you don't need to make a presentation?
Yeah, we don't have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Senator?
I'll be very quick. Okay, Your Excellency the Deputy President and all the protocols observed. I have a very short presentation, but because I had already done it, it's better just to go through it. And much of it has been said. That's the coffee value chain. Kuna kulima, mnaona ni wangapi, but I want to go directly to number 3. Kwamba mkulima akitoka number 2, kawa yake huwa anaipotezea number 3. From there, the farmer doesn't have the rights of his or her coffee. It's a very long value chain, and this is what people are calling cartels, which should be removed. Key statistics, this has been said, lakini mkiangalia kawa imepungua kuanzia 160,000 metric hectares in 1990 to 119,000 in 2020. Kwa hivyo hiyo ni kusema ya kwamba mpaka tujue tutafanya nini ili wakulima endelee kulima kahawa. These are the coffee marketing systems. That is one is central auction system, direct sales and sales catalog by each marketing agents. But hata kama kuna direct sales, nadhani sheria za Kenya bado zinahimiza unafaa uwe na agent wakati unauza kahawa. So we need to change that. Challenges in coffee sector zote nimelist hapo. I'll just mention on the shortage of capital. Hapa ndio wakulima wanapewa loans ambazo zinawafunga na contract ambazo hazifai, na kwa hivyo wakipata mali ya kupata pesa za kulipa school fees and the rest, wataweza kuokolewa na kufanya decision ambazo zinafaa. Those are still the challenges. We have the weak coffee sector systems. Hapa ukiangalia, ukienda Ethiopia wako na kahawa, kuna zingine wanaitanga kama Sidama, Harar, they have their own branded coffee zenye wanauza abroad. In Kenya hatuna kahawa tunauza abroad. In fact, sometimes when I was in US nilipata kahawa ya Rongeto ikiuzwa na hata wajui, and it was costing to nearly 9,000 per kg. We go to recommendation and proposed interventions. Lazima tutoe quality coffee so that we can get more money. Aggregation ni wameongea, hii mambo yote tumesema hapa, nimesikia wakulima wameongea because tumekuwa nao wakati tulikuwa tunafanya public participation. Mambo ya GMR, the cherry fund regulation naenda haraka na imeisha, ili nisipoteze tu muda kutayarisha na sitaonyesha watu. Asante sana.
Thank you, Senator. In fact, all these members are telling me many of the issues they have conversed have already been conversed, and they just asked me to allow them each to just make one comment. Then if you have any questions, they want to leave the stage with a very firm commitment from both the National Assembly and the Senate that whatever it takes to fast track the bill, we will do, and of course incorporate all the issues that we have had you raise, right from support for growers, to the majority representation of growers in certain organizations, including the Coffee Board of Kenya, the Coffee Marketing Association, all those coffee associations. Therefore, let me invite Honorable Sabina, who Your Excellency will indulge myself and the Honorable Sabina and Meli. We will begin because we are running short of time. Honorable, if you are not ready, you can invite Meli first. Oh, you are ready. I saw you writing. It's okay.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and mine is going to be very brief. When we are looking at the way forward, I want first to give a, as a member of Agricultural Committee, and I'm with my chair, and our CS is here, that we look at the coffee bill. That's the first commitment that I want to give. And I would suggest to Senator and our chair that once we retreat back to Parliament, let us see whether we can even have joint sittings, so that what is going to be agreed at the Senate level, when it comes to the National Assembly, we don't need to go back to public participation again. We pass the bill as it is, and that will have saved a lot of time and energy, and we'll have a solution for our farmers. That's my first commitment. The second one, Your Excellency, there was something I brought in Parliament before we closed, and this was about our cooperatives trading at the coffee exchange. I am not so sure whether that has been achieved yet, and that they had gone through all the processes and they were ready to trade. I hope and I wish, even with the Minister here of Agriculture, that issue can be resolved as soon as possible, where the cooperatives that have qualified to trade through the coffee exchange, that they are allowed to trade as soon as possible without any further delay. The third one, Your Excellency, when I asked about the home or the husband that the farmers would prefer to belong to, they never really committed the husband that they like. But Your Excellency, I was just thinking, we have a Ministry of Fisheries. I don't know how much they bring in terms of income to this country, where we have coffee as a standalone, and that's why I was against it being under AFA, and it brings a minimum of around 22 billion income. Your Excellency, I think the biggest favor you can do, apart from even saying whether it goes to Ministry of Agriculture, we even qualify to have a Ministry of Coffee if you have Ministry of Fisheries and fish don't bring any money in Kenya. So that would be my request. So let us not belabor the point. The farmers have the capacity. We can be able to have higher yields and more income, and we can be able to have a Ministry of Coffee as a standalone. That one, somebody said radical. I think it's a radical recommendation, but if that's what it takes for us to have our farmers have money in the pocket, why not, Your Excellency? Na wewe ndio uko hapo saa hii ndio utuongee on our behalf. So thank you very much. I want to end it there. Your Excellency, I'll ask for permission to leave because I have to go and be attended. Na nataka kutuma sisi libarire to your friends who beat me yesterday. They were women, Honorable Millie Othiambo and Honorable Rosa Mbuyu. They even stole my phone. Please ask them hata kama walinipiga wanirudishie simu. And now, Your Excellency, vile wezi nipata tumana simu ikuja, ilikuwa iPhone 14 wakachukua jana. Asante sana, God bless you, and I wish all the farmers the best. We are committed to bring reforms in the coffee industry. God bless you so much. Asante sana.
Thank you, Honorable Sabina. I want to invite Honorable Meli.
Thank you, Your Excellency and members present. I want to raise three issues. One, I want to say that the bill at the Senate was the bill that we had in last Parliament. I, Honorable Mutunga, Honorable Mwamushomba, and it's a very good bill. And I want to say that as a member of Parliament and as a farmer, we are confirming to you that we are going to pass that bill. Excellency, that bill is very good. It actually took the interest of farmers. We went across most of the counties, Nandi, Nyeri, and all these parts of the country, and actually that bill was very good. And the three members who are here, we are members of agriculture at that time. Two, there is an issue which I think I've not heard being discussed here, is the issue of loss during milling. I know it's a controversial issue, but a number of farmers or societies lose their coffee during the milling time, especially on percentage loss. I would wish that during the bill we address that issue, so that losses are actually not lost during the milling process, and some are even lost by some people who just want to take farmers' crop. 3, we have a very important issue also, especially on production. Your Excellency, somebody just said a few minutes ago, and I think we were here, that the moment we are going to really produce enough per tree, we can even overtake many other countries. And I want to ask the Minister of Agriculture and the governors who are here to really take it up. Not only about marketing, but we tell the farmers to produce. So that by the end of the day, you can go to some places in my constituency I have seen, where some people have 3, 4, 5 acres, but one person who has taken care of his coffee in 2 or half an acre, they do very well. So that is why we need to really improve on the issue of husbandry and many others. But the last thing I want to emphasize most is the government commitment and our commitment to really destroy the cartels. Your Excellency, some of these cartels even do coups in cooperative societies. I've seen it in my places where they even foment trouble, just because they want to take coffee from one cooperative society, from one sales agent to another one. So if the chairman of that cooperative society refuses, then they foment trouble, and they can do a coup, and then they install somebody who will sell coffee to them. So some of these things actually we really need to be very serious and make sure that we actually make coffee the goal that we had in the 70s. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, as I mentioned, I will invite the chair of the Agriculture Committee to conduct us through the next presentations. But just one issue that I forgot, Your Excellency, to mention. Your Excellency, you are aware that His Excellency the President is very keen on all these reforms, right from tea to our coffee sector. And you remember when the finance bill came to Parliament, let me say, because it was mentioned here by farmers, Your Excellency, His Excellency the President has already instructed the chairman of the Finance Committee on the question of the jute bags that the farmer mentioned here. I can't remember whether it was Moshe or the lady who mentioned the question of bags, to make sure that those bags are zero rated, and eventually we do hope that the challenge that Honorable Sabina Chege has given to the Honorable CS Moses Kuria will be able even to manufacture these bags locally and cheaper and even a better quality, so that we are able to package our coffee in our own bags, and those that will not have to take away a lot of money from farmers. Your Excellency, in conclusion, I just want to say that as we have committed, we will work together. This is one of the bills that you will never hear any tussles between the National Assembly and the Senate. We will ensure that we iron out all the issues and we agree, and we incorporate all your views and those of other farmers who are not represented here, to make sure we fast track that bill. And before we break for the next long recess, sometime mid-August, we should have completed work on that bill as soon as the Senate is able to send it to us in the National Assembly. With those remarks, Your Excellency, allow me now to invite the chair, or who will be in charge of that bill, here to conduct the next session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, distinguished participants. Your Excellency, I will just make 1 or 2 comments, and then I go ahead and invite my colleagues. When we do the bill, we look at the entire value chain. We look at before production, what happens, at production level, what happens, when it comes to processing, what happens with marketing, and even the consumption. So looking at this particular bill, we had actually looked through it before we sent it back to Senate. And we had gone through most of those stages. Unfortunately, somewhere along the line, we saw the gazettement of some regulations. And that took us aback. Because standing the regulations, we realized that we are sustaining the same problem we are trying to deal out within the bill. And that is why we had to form the caucus. And I want to thank Honorable Mutembei for one thing. We put a spirited approach, put in a lot of effort to make sure that that particular regulations were dropped. And I want to thank Your Excellency and the President himself and the CS Agriculture for ensuring that that particular regulation or piece of regulation was dropped. Regulation 2022. Having seen that, many things have been discussed here, and we've been taking notes. There are certain things that look gray, needs to be looked into. The morning, Your Excellency talked about the Coffee Research Foundation, which used to be the Coffee Research Foundation, currently the Coffee Research Institute, which is in Cairo. We visited the Coffee Research Institute when we were dealing with this particular bill. And what we found at the Coffee Research Institute was devastating. They are supposed to be the pioneer research institute of this country, producing new materials for production and productivity enhancement, growth tolerance, and increased growth rate, but they were in total disarray. The levels of support we were wanting, there were so many problems. They did not have many scientists, they needed more scientists. The resource allocation levels were also not quite wanting. There were many problems. And we wrote a report and made proposals. So, some of the things that we are discussing here today will follow us even as we do the bill. And I want to tell the stakeholders that we've been quite attentive and we shall do justice to this particular bill. Two things. Number one, people have been wondering where the problems of coffee started. And the reason why the leader majority tells us to go back to the farmers. The problems of cooperatives, the problems of coffee did not begin at the far end of the tail. It did not begin or did not settle at the end of the value chain, at the marketing end and the transformation end. No, they started very early. Some of the reasons why the older farmers, and I have no reason to defend them, I remember my governor articulately saying that we need to make the management of the coffee for cooperatives and the management of the entire system. We need to bring in new blood and younger blood. The older people trusted younger and more enlightened people to manage their cooperatives. And what did they do? They became wise. There used to be window for loans. They could seek for input loans, for fertilizer, and it went further. They became more innovative. They could get even the cherry loan during the time of harvesting, and things were becoming okay. The farmers were paying. They went further and further. If you want weeding loan, you could get. If you wanted to spray, you could get some money. At the end of the day, they became gluttonous, until there was even a loan called inflorescence loan. What I'm trying to say is that when coffee flowers, then that will guarantee you to get a loan. That has absolutely nothing to do with operations on the farm. There is nobody who influences inflorescence. There is no input required for inflorescence. Even if, of course, you could irrigate and cause inflorescence. So many things came up. Then the loans became too much for the farmers to bear, until sometimes farmers could go to the factory at the day of payment and they are told you have a debt. I remember one time my own father had harvested more than 1,000 kilos. And he went to the factory when the money was supposed to be paid. And he was told, Mzamtunga, you have a balance of negative 160 shillings. After delivering more than 1,000 kilos, that's where the problem began. So these others came in and they took up, perfected the art, and therefore they developed what the Honorable Cecily was talking about. So two things. Number one, we shall deal out the mischief within the coffee value chain. And the second thing, there is this animal called DSS. I don't know how many people were very clear on DSS. When we talk about DSS, this is basically the decision support system. When you're dealing with products from very many people, so many of them, everybody must be paid individually, but you're selling collectively. There is an aggregation level at the factory, and then probably there's even a large aggregation when you have to probably aggregate the green bean. Therefore, so many people will have to be paid at the end of the day. The principle is whether it is direct sale or auction, DSS is necessary. because you must get the details. I remember there's a farmer who has stood here and said how he computes. He has to calculate. And he has said if you sell at attachment level before you go for processing, I think it will be better for him because you'll avoid the cost of processing. So that system is important because you are making a decision involving so many people who have aggregated their product into, one unit, and this unit is bought as a whole. The final thing I want to mention is that Kenyan coffee is demanded out there. I've had an opportunity to go for Kenyan coffee marketing. We have had a good opportunity even to go to America, the state of Nebraska, and I'm happy that Laban is here. Laban is one of the people. Laban, are you there? He was here in the morning. He is one of the people who has even established an auction yard. I remember we took the immediate former Cabinet Secretary, Agriculture, to launch the auction yard in Nebraska. And that is still moving on. And Laban was telling me today that they have even opened up to Ethiopia and other countries. And they're going to other parts of Africa. They want to cover the entire Africa. One of the things we learned when they came here is that we have not promoted our coffee. Our coffee is not known. Our coffee is 100% specialty. That means we don't need to market our coffee other than just ensuring that it reaches the consumers. If you can be able to enlighten the consumers on the availability, the quantities, the regularity of supply, manage the chain, the management of the product management, in terms of supply chain management, then we'll sell everything. So, before I get too engrossed in that discussion, let me say that one of the things we learned, two things. One, we need to promote our coffee, especially in the American market. We learned there are more than 31,000 outlets, coffee drinking outlets, and we are occupying less than 1% of that. And the final thing is that ours can purely be sold as a specialty. Let me call Honorable Wamuchomba to progress this particular discussion. Madam.
Thank you. Your Excellency, we are very, very happy that this is happening because this is what we have been waiting for. I come from coffee growing area. I am a farmer. I deliver my coffee produce at Gadhiroini Coffee Factory in Githunguri. And I'm a very sad representative. Reason being, Your Excellency, and I'm sure you are aware, there are some 6 factories in my constituency that are yet to be paid to date. And if they are going to be paid tomorrow, the money that is available for them, they are only going to be paid 11 shillings per kg. Not because they did not do their work in the farm, not because they did not dry their coffee as required, not because they did not dry and do all the pulping as needed, but some people colluded, withdrew all their money from the marketer, and they have no way to follow them up. So those farmers are going to receive 11 shillings, Your Excellency. It is very sad. I feel the pain as a mother, as a leader, and as a farmer, because I know what farmers go through. How I pray that now that we have pronounced ourselves in this forum, that marketers are going to be dealt with effective by the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Agriculture, Honorable Mithika Linturi. How I pray that you're going to make sure that any marketer who is holding farmers' coffee today remits the money to the farmer without further delay. Because you know what most marketers are going to do? They are going to stop paying farmers because they know that new systems are coming in place. We are tired. We are really tired of talking about marketers. Marketers do not operate in isolation. They operate under an environment that is regulated by the government, and the government must take the blame for the mess that is in the coffee industry. Now I have a question. Now that we are recommending, and this question I really would want the farmers to think about, especially the farmers who are here. Although I still asked a question, because I didn't see my farmers in Githunguri or Kiambu here, how they were selected. Maybe somebody is going to answer me later on. But I am asking, now that we are saying we bring back Coffee Board of Kenya, we are saying we bring back KPCU of Kenya, we are saying we bring back CRF, which is borders in my constituency. Have we interrogated the issues that made them deliver us to where we are today. Because the same institutions are the reason why we are here today. The mess that we are in today, they are also players in the mess. So when we revive them and we bring them back, are we sure we are going to do it right? So that we don't come back here in 5 years and say, oh, we still have a problem. That question, I think I'm going to throw it to the Cabinet Secretary in charge of cooperatives and in charge of agriculture. My other issue is that I know you know, most of you because you're stakeholders. Back in the 80s, we used to have over 1,800 factories in Kenya. Come to the 90s, the factories came down to about 1,470. Down to the early 2000s, when I and Mwalimu Moshwe were in the radio, we were operating with about 1,200 factories. To date, Your Excellency, factories have closed down. We are at 870 factories. And every single day, factories are closing. What measure are we going to put in place so that they don't close anymore? What are we going to do? Your Excellency, there was some fund that was established called Coffee Revitalization Fund. A fund that was created to digitize factories, to provide eco-purpose, like my sister, Honorable Cecily Barire, the governor, was saying. And that project have only done successfully less than 200 factories phase 1, which was to digitize the factory and to put CCTV cameras. Your Excellency, as we speak, most of those factories that have closed down, they are vandalized. The assets are gone. So even as we put laws here in this room, we must also ask ourselves, if we are able to bring back the laws and the institutions you're talking about, how we reinvest back to make sure that those factories that closed down are back in operation. And how do they operate? Your Excellency, it's my humble submission that you revisit the issue of Coffee Revitalization Fund, which only need budgeting at the National Assembly under your instructions, so that we can revive those dead factories for the sake of our farmers. The reason why I'm very heavy on this is because in my constituency, Githunguri, our whole society has closed down, leaving only one factory operational. So all the farmers that were taking the coffees to the 11 factories that closed down, they are all lumped up in one factory. And the issues of governance, the issues of coffee thirst in the estates is serious. Your Excellency, on that note, you provide security to banks so that their money cannot be stolen. All commercial banks have security, Your Excellency. They get policemen. Can we get support, our factories, especially during the drying of coffee? Can we allocate security men to go and guard our factories, especially when we are drying our coffee? Because most of the factory chairmen who are here can confirm that most of the bills that they are not able to pay come from provision of security men to go and guard coffee during the dry season and the transportation to the millers and roasters. I have so much that I can give today, but I cannot hide my joy today because finally somebody who is passionate about coffee, who is none other than our Deputy President, has delivered the first step towards the right direction in the coffee sector reform. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Muchomba. Let me now call upon Senator Wamatinga, Senator from Meru.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the Deputy President. Mine will actually not be a lot, but I want to confirm to you that we really did go to most of the counties that produce coffee and tea and cotton. We did do a public participation, and I do want to confirm to you that the farmers who are standing here, what they said is largely what we got from the farmers' mashinani. Mine, Your Excellency, sir, or to tell you, we are almost moving to the second leading with your indulgence and the coordination of the team between the team of the drafters of bills in the National Assembly and the Senate, and some assistance from the Office of the Attorney General before we go into the second reading, we can incorporate all the amendments that need to be done. That would mean that we would pass the bill in the second reading with all the amendments. It would mean that in a term of about a month, we will be done with the bill and it should be in a position to be signed into the law. Your Excellency, sir, my chairman and our committee, we sat down and realized that some of the support that we don't get from the other regions that don't grow coffee, it's because they do not have any interest. Therefore, we took it upon ourselves to start a cotton bill that is also in the second reading, to do a dengue bill that is also in the second reading, having done public participation, to do livestock bill that is also in the second reading, will be going to the public participation, and finally extension, agricultural extension office, which is also in the second reading. Why? It's because we want to lobby in the other members so that they can also support us in this process. As you go to explain to the Kenyans what we are doing, I can assure you that all these bills are already in the House, on the floor of the House. They've gone through the first reading. Cotton and dengue bill have gone through public participation, and therefore they are ready to go. With those few remarks, Your Excellency, I would want to commit our committee in front of these farmers and thank you that this has been top-notch public participation that has served to unleash what we corrected on the ground. It is going to unleash our bill, and I think after we sit down together with the National Assembly and with the drafters from the Office of Attorney General, within a month we should be ready to publish this as a law and to place it in the hands of the President so that it can be accepted as a law. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for having taken this initiative. I thank you a lot.
Thank you very much, Senator. Your Excellency, the commitment from our team is strong. We are actually considering having joint sittings so that we can do this very, very fast, so that you don't have to have to and fro from Senate to us and then back to Senate and those other considerations that are laid down in the standing orders. Let me now call upon Dr. Wachira Karanja, the honorable member from Laikipia West.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I want to do a correction. My names are Dr. Wachira Karani, not Karanja. I'm the member of Parliament, Laikipia West, in Laikipia County, and also the Chairman, Services and Facilities in the Kenya National Assembly. I also join my colleagues, Your Excellency, in assuring all the people gathered in this workshop that when that bill comes to the National Assembly, we will do justice and pass it because it's important. Your Excellency, I've been very, very keen listening from the morning presentation, and particularly the ones that was done by the farmers. I've realized there is a lot of money in this coffee industry, and the producer, who is the most important person, the farmer, gets very little. It is for this resolution in this workshop that we hope those farmers who voted for us. Your Excellency, it has reminded me of a film called Gods Must Be Crazy. In that film, the main character, I'm told the whole industry produced US$ 600 million. But the main character, that fellow who is a comedian there, he received only $3,000. I compared our farmers to that main character in that film. So it is for us who have been privileged to be elected and to serve the people here to make sure that our farmers, we do not treat our farmers the same way those people of that film treated that main character. Those few remarks, thank you very much, Your Excellency. I support.
Thank you very much indeed. Let's now listen to the Honorable Gitonga Mukunji from Manyata, Embu.
Thank you. Your Excellency, our Deputy President, Waziri wa Kilimo na Waziri wa Cooperatives, magavana, wanabunge wote, Senate na National Assembly, naona MCS kidogo pia, na pamoja na stakeholders wa coffee and farmers. Good evening. My name is Gitonga Mukunji. Mimi ni mbunge wa area bunge ya Manyata kule Embu.
And I want to take this opportunity first to say thank you to His Excellency, the Deputy President, because of bringing together this team that at the center of it all know what coffee means. Let me also say and brag a little bit that my governor is Cecily Mbarire, and today she has come out boldly kuongea ukweli. And Your Excellency, Embu, 20,000 farmers depend on coffee. Those are farmers. Yesterday I had a meeting with some of them in preparation of this meeting, and so that we can be able to say what the farmer really wants. And Your Excellency, besides what we are hearing in the media, I want to confirm that we really need to think about the farmer. And I'm happy anybody who has actually stood to speak here, Your Excellency, has put the farmer at the center of this discussion. That is the right way of doing these reforms. I also want to confirm, Your Excellency, that this bill that we are proposing here, immediately to get to the National Assembly, Your Excellency, I'll be the first person to ensure I lobby for it and ensure that it passes as quick and as early as possible, because I know the importance of all those things that have been mentioned. Your Excellency, when Governor Cecily was mentioning those three guys who have 9 companies in different ranks of the coffee chain, Your Excellency, somebody whispered to me that they are also represented here. And I was trying to see who is feeling weird when it is being mentioned. But I know already they have started restructuring themselves, trying to plan how they will thwart these things that we are talking about. Waziri and Your Excellency, please, we really depend on you to stamp your foot so that we don't do things and then we come back here again to give farmers stories. And I want to say that having traveled a little bit in this world, I have had a very good name for this country from different areas of this world, that we have the best laws when it comes to issues of agriculture, when it comes to issues of education, and many other things. But Your Excellency, the challenge has always been implementation of these laws. I know your government and His Excellency government is really committed to ensure that we will not pass this bill, then implementation is partial and the farmer is still left to languish in poverty. I really pray, Waziri, the AFA board that you recently constituted, you should be having a sitting with it every morning until they get the Crop Act and the coffee issues implemented 100%. Tusikuwe tunapitisha bila asubuhi, jioni tunaanza kulilia wakulima kwa sababu ya bei mbaya ya vitu. And I'm saying that from the farmer's mouth. This is not my mouth, it's farmer's mouth, because I have listened to what they are saying. We have many good laws in this country, but implementation is poor. And I know the executive, led by you, Your Excellency, you will do something about that. Mimi najua wewe ni mtu wa kuongea ukweli. Kwa hivyo hiyo maneno tutafanya. Your Excellency, the other thing I wanted to add, which is very important, is the fact that there are so many assets that are being stolen. We have assets of societies that run under, that are being stolen by people. Millions of acres of land that I would like your government to intervene so that farmers don't continue losing things that they bought with their own money. I met a cooperative society of the 90s that tells me it has land on the CBD of this country, in Nairobi. And they have no idea where the title went when they went to the land office. Your Excellency, that's the only thing you can assist our farmers on. Because
Those are things that they should be proud of when they visit even CBD and see a building that they are earning rent from. And that also includes the assets of the KPCU. The assets of KPCU are also under siege, and they have been stolen right and left. Your Excellency, sir, please, let your legacy be getting those assets back to the farmers, and let the farmers get something that is theirs. Finally, Your Excellency, this is one area that I would like us to at least once per year meet and compare results. This conference is one of the best things that has happened in this sector. But if we stop here, then we go our separate ways. We might not be able to take stock. I would propose, Your Excellency, sir, that every year, let's have a meeting to take stock of where we are. So that I would like, because I've had Waziri, when he came to Embu, told farmers that they will get the best bonus this year. And I know, you mentioned it publicly. I would like that to be something that we can ask you next year, if it does not happen. So that our farmers can know the leadership of this time is a leadership that cares for them and that ensures that it has achieved its dream. Asante sana, Mungu awabariki. Thank you very much.
Your Excellency, by way of winding up, I would like therefore to ask Senator Murango, the chair of Agriculture in the Senate, to just make a few, 2 or 3 independent comments, then I can close.
Asante sana. Mheshimiwa Naibu wa Rais, nitaongeza jambo moja tu sijasikia. Katika ukulima wa kahawa unakuanga tofauti sana na ukulima mwingine. Na kwa hivyo ile fertilizer, mbolea ya ruzuku, subsidized fertilizer, pia kama kuna uwezekano ya kuongeza mandawa ambayo wakulima wanatumia katika hiyo subsidy program, ingekuwa ni vizuri zaidi, kwa sababu utapata mkulima amepata mbolea lakini hajapata ndawa. Kwa hivyo unapata ya kwamba umbora, quality ya kahawa injakuwa nzuri sana. Number 2, hebu nishukuru pia waziri, hata kama kidogo alikuwa amechemshwa, waziri wa kilimo, kwa sababu kuna siku nimeenda kwake kwa sababu ya mbolea ya ruzuku ya cooperative societies, na cooperative society ya Kiberigwe wakaweza kupata voucher moja na wakapelekewa fertilizer kwao katika factory zenye walikuwa kulima alikuwa anachukua moja kwa moja bila gharama zaidi. Lakini waziri, hata kama fertilizer imeletwa na serikali, bado kuna wenyekiti wa vyama vya ushirika wengine bado hawakununua hiyo fertilizer. Wameenda na akanunua fertilizer ingine 5,000, ingine 6,000. Kwa hivyo ndo tunataka kusema kwamba kuna mambo mengine si cartel pekee wanafanya, hata katika cooperative lazima wale wenyekiti pia wawe na roho ya kusaidia wale wakulima ambao wanawakilisha. Na nikimalizia, Mheshimiwa Rais, sisi wakati hii bill tuichukua, tumeenda tukakutana na wakulima katika sehemu nyingi sana za Kenya. Wale walikuwa hapa 80% tushakutana nao mashinani. Kwa hivyo hawa watu wengi ni wenyekiti, lakini wakulima pia tumeokota maoni yao, iko kwa nakala zimenakiliwa, kwa video zingine memoranda. Kwa hivyo yote tukikusanya, tumekubaliana na mwenyekiti wa kilimo pia katika Senate, tutaweza kufanyia wakulima haki. Na niseme ya kwamba mimi kule Senate, sisi hatutaondoa full stop wala koma venye mkulima anataka. Tutakubaliana ya kwamba tupitishe venye mkulima anataka. Kwa majina, mimi naitwa Kamau Murango, ni senator wa Kirinyaga na kia mwenyekiti wa kamati ya ukulima, uvuvi, mifugo na uchumi samawati. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, Senator Kamau. Your Excellency, I just want to make 2 final comments. Number 1, having such a convention and bringing so many stakeholders here and having so many important conversations, we do not want a time when farmers will ask, where was government? Because the government is here. These things have been happening over time, and I'm sure sometimes, if you allow the farmers to ask, they say, tunataka serikali wasaidie. Hii ndio usaidizi tungetaka kutoka nao hapa. And you brought stakeholders, the Ministry of Cooperatives and the Ministry of Trade, who would like that concerted effort to continue. Because if we did work together, I think we would contain these cartels. Some of the things that did not come out, you know, those, as impacts of those cartels, is the cost therein. They are paid the farmers' money. Instead of transferring the farmers' money directly to them, they keep it in their accounts for some time. It earns interest. Then they use the interest to loan the same farmer. They loan the farmers their own money at another interest. So many things that happen are really terrible. Finally, Your Excellency, as we look at this legislation, I think it is important for the Cooperative Ministry to look at the Cooperative Act so that we can meet somewhere in the middle. Look at the Cooperative Act. Let's see how much it is going to enhance the farmer to become the better person and better business person in this country, so that at the end of the day we come up with a complete set of legislations that will help this sector to grow and many other sectors where we have cooperators. With those remarks, Your Excellency, I wish to retire now, and I do not know whether the panel, you would like to ask the panelists any questions. Probably we can take one or two questions. One comment. Let me take, that was the first one. You are the second, third, and fourth. The first one is over there, yes. Then the second one is over there. The fourth one is the Honorable, the Honorable member from...
Thank you very much, my MP, Honorable Mutunga. My name is Ken Naibae, member of County Assembly of Meru, representing great people of Kianjai. I'm also the chairman, sectoral committee on agriculture, livestock and fisheries. I would like to say that devolution is not complete without the participation of MCAs. Your Excellency, Deputy President, sisi MCAs ndio tunakaa na hao wakulima, ndio tunawaelewa, tunajua shida zao. We do a similar job like that of the National Assembly and the Senate. So I see in this program there is no provision for members of County Assembly, representation from coffee growing counties. So it is my prayer that when we have a very important occasion like this next time, you will look into that matter. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's a comment. Let's hear His Excellency the Governor of Nandi, then we'll have Honorable Gichimo, and then the gentleman over there.
Thank you very much, Waheshimiwa. I think listening to both houses speak from one side is very refreshing. A lot of work has gone into that bill. As COG, the Committee on Agriculture, we have very few amendments, and I think we are requesting that you give us an opportunity to share with you so that then we can be able to include those proposals or consider those proposals from ourselves. But I have, having been in Parliament, I know how the process can take long. We have agreed that this process can take 1 month, but also the process can take 6 months or even 1 year. My request is that, going by the proposal that you have given, if you can have a joint sitting, agree on all the amendments, ensure that those amendments are captured in the Senate bill, and we all agree that this is a document that represents all the views of the stakeholders. I am sure that there can never be a parliament that will organize such a representative forum of stakeholders better than what we are having here today. And therefore, if you can capture all those issues put together, so that then when it goes to the committee, because Your Excellency, the mischief is always within committees. You will sit down as a committee. These very powerful people we have been mentioning here, will appear in different forms and formats. And before you realize, even what has been agreed here ends up being toned down. And you can actually be shocked that even some of the people seated here, you start hearing people saying, no, let us amend this, let's amend that. I think we owe it to the farmers of this country and to the coffee sector that we fix this once and for all. And Your Excellency, you have already put together resources to facilitate this. A very expensive conference, but it is worth it. What I would be requesting you is to follow through this process until we have that product in Parliament, until it is signed by the President, so that then we can work on implementation. We don't doubt that you are going to implement, because this is already being driven by yourself and the President. But at least if we can fix this one on the law, of course we have a take home as governors, extension, how to increase our our role in terms of supporting our farmers with extension, with production. A lot of that will be on our side. But if you can fix the law for us, then we can work and push ourselves to do the rest. So I want to just agree with you and say, find a way of just sorting out this so that you do not have committee amendments, you do not have amendments in the National Assembly. Let us agree beforehand. That would be able, and we can give ourselves a timeline of 1 month to 2 months and be done with this. Then we can now start carpeting our friend Linturi and Chelugui if they fail to implement the law. But right now, if we hit at them, the law somehow allows them, or the law somehow can be taken advantage by some of these cartels. Thank you.
The Honorable Gitchimo.
Thank you, Your Excellency. All protocols observed. My name is Geshimo Gedenji, Member of Parliament, Geshogu, Kirinyaga County, where we produce the highest coffee in both quality and quantity. And I'm also a member of the Trade Industries and Cooperatives Committee of the National Assembly. Improving on what Governor Sang has said, I believe, Your Excellency, if you can find time after the two committees sit together and firm up all the recommendations that have been given today and others that have been taken from the farmers, I think it would be good if you find time that representatives from all the sectors now represented here, not as we are today, can sit down and make sure that whatever has been discussed today, whatever farmers have given and all the stakeholders have already been captured after the second reading before the matter goes at the committee stage, so that we'll have no complaints from whichever corner, so that we can move together. The other thing, Kirinyaga County Union is not represented at the market. Kindly, Your Excellency, do all what you can for the Kirinyaga Union to be given a marketing license as we wait for the comprehensive reforms, just like the other unions who can now access the market. I don't know whether they've been divided from whatever corner, but I believe, and I have all the hope, Your Excellency, you can intervene so that Kirinyaga can be able to sell their coffee directly to the market. Finally, coffee, as we have all agreed, is a very important commodity. In the value chain, I've interacted with all the departments, the cooperatives, MSMEs, industry, and trade in the oversight in the committee that I sit in. But coffee is not in that value chain. Kindly, Your Excellency, if coffee can be added in the value chain so that it can also find its way into the KIPES that are being done at the counties, then I think that would be a good idea and important for the farmers in this country. Thank you, Your Excellency.
And finally, there is another one coming up. Give it to the gentleman over there. Yes. Then the final one, the very last. Okay.
Your Excellency and all protocol observed, my name is Peter Ndegwa. I'm the Acting County Secretary for the great county of Kiambu, representing His Excellency Dr. Matangi. Your Excellency, we talked in the morning about putting more money on the table for the farmers to get back to their farms.
But in the intervening period, Your Excellency and the leadership of the two houses, I would kindly request that we add more money into the subsidized fertilizer, pesticides, and the extension services so that we support the farmers to increase our production to what we saw with Mwalimu. We are still at 3 kgs per tree. How do we get to 10, 20 kgs per tree? It's putting more money, Your Excellency, to the farmer so that that farmer is able to grow and produce quality coffee. Because what we have, the challenge, we might look for market, Your Excellency, we might look for value addition, but if the farmer is not producing quality beans, Your Excellency, will not go far. So I saw we added to 4 billion, for an addition of 4 billion to 8.5 billion. If we can have something like 12 billion into this fertilizer and other chemicals, that will help to promote the farmer, Your Excellency. Thank you.
There is the last gentleman here, please. If you listen to the ones who have commented, there is no single question. It's all comments. There are questions. I will let you have one question, not comments. What is the question?
The question is...
You have a question?
Yes, question.
It's in gender. One question, 2 questions, and a question at the back. You, the lady behind you. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm Francis Mangangi, Deputy Governor, Machakos County. Your Excellency, half of the 8 sub-counties in in Machakos County are coffee growing. And whenever there are issues touching around coffee, in fact, I will go back during President Kibaki's leadership, all coffee groups, their debts were waived. Lakini in Machakos County, that was not done. My leaders in the assembly, please, one of the major impediments within this sector is debts. And I would request maybe, and this is where now the question comes, if possible, kindly, can you consider in a long term to ensure, as much as we are addressing the leadership, the governance, all across I mean everywhere coffee is grown, you factor in the issue of waiving those debts so that our farmers can start fresh and move forward. Please, can you do that, because it is in the National Assembly where money bills are dealt with. Thank you.
There is that gentleman over there, and then the lady at the back. Please be brief and precise.
Okay, asante sana. Majina yangu naitwa Samson Moreidi, Chairman Kiberegwi from Kirinyaga. Your Excellency, mimi niko na swali moja tu, kwa sababu nilisikia our Minister of Agriculture by Monday or Tuesday atasimamisha license zote. Na on behalf of farmers, kuna swali mimi nimejiuliza, kwa sababu as we talk, saa hii kuna kahawa ya wakulima tayari iko somewhere. As we talk, when we talk about Lower Eastern, kuna kahawa tayari iko somewhere with those people who are mentioned. Tunajiuliza, kahawa ya wakulima, who will take charge of it as from Tuesday until when the government takes over or gives direction? Second one, as we talk, the rules states very well, hakuna marketing agent, tunataka broker. Na that brokerage inaanza 30th June. Na hiyo sheria bado iko na nguvu, na kwa sababu wale ambao wanatengeneza sheria wako hapa, na wakati Mheshimiwa Linturi alisema ata cancel those licenses, tulipiga makofi sote. Now I would like to be corrected. Hao watu mlipiga tukasema ni hao, they are the same people who have registered as brokers and others who are waiting for today's and tomorrow's conference. Na kuambia sisi labda tutatoka kwa fisi tuingie kwa chui. So we have to be very keen on this. The legislatures, mjue kuna sheria bado inafanya kazi saa hii. Inasema hakuna agency, hakuna marketing, hakuna hao wengine, lakini as from 30th June kuna sheria ingine inaanza kufanya kazi. Bona najiuliza wale ambao wanatekeleza sheria, kwa sababu sisi labda hatuelewi hii maneno. Tunataka chairman wa agriculture utuelezee from 30th. Singine tunasikia wanataka kuingiza DSS, CMA, na as we talk wengine wanangojea hapa, tuko na wao hapa wanangojea hii ivujwe, they chip in immediately as it was done. KPCU wakati iliuawa, na iliuawa intentionally na wale walikuwa directors kwa KPCU wakaunga mills zao wenyewe. And I talk Jerudiga mheshimiwa ako hapa anajua wale waliua KPCU ndio walienda wakaunda the others, and now we are suffering. His Excellency Deputy, wakati tutaachana na wewe kesho, kukupata itakuwa ni shida, na hao watu they will take advantage of those few loopholes. Tutaacha hapa kwa sababu sisi wakulima tutaacha tuende nyumbani tuseme Mheshimiwa Raila anasema lazima kahawa ipate pesa. Inapata pesa wapi? Lakini mafisi wengine tayari wameingia kwa chishi. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka kuuliza chairman wa agriculture, minister wa cooperative, my friend Linturi, kwa sababu
we have gotten your question very clearly. Please stop repeating it.
I'm sorry.
That lady over there, and then you shall give Mheshimiwa Kiraito Murungi 1 minute. The lady over there. Kuna ingine hapo? Mheshimiwa Nyaga. Hata hapa. Okay. Yes, over there.
Your Excellency, our Deputy President, all protocols observed. My name is Catherine Rogoro Nyaga from Embu County, a farmer, a coffee farmer. My question or suggestion, or I haven't had this addressed, and in sales and marketing, we talk about low-hanging fruits. One thing I haven't had addressed is the tourism. Nobody has addressed doing coffee tourism in Kenya, where we invite people to our farms. We can choose demo farms and bring people to come and tour the farms so that they see exactly where the coffee comes from. We are proud of our coffee being the best. This is a suggestion. Maybe we could start through our various channels, coffee tourism in Kenya, because already the coffee is there. And why I say low-hanging fruit, you're not going to be injecting any more capital, because the coffee is there, it's good quality, it's used to blend other coffees. So why don't we bring people to come and see it? There was a gentleman, one Mheshimiwa, who talked about bringing in dollars back into the country. When we have the tourists coming here to see our coffee on the ground, they'll come and spend their dollars or the foreign exchange in the country. So to my fellow farmers, there's an opportunity for us to develop our farms into tourist attraction sites. So, and that said, the housing bill will allow these young people to build houses where we can do Airbnb, because not everybody will go into the hotels. So that way it will support the finance bill. And that is my proposal. You know, let us, since we're in the reform stage, let us not look only on what used to happen. Let's change with time and
very well
enjoy
Thank you
change.
very much. So, several issues have come up before we give the last 2 or 3. Some of them are in form of questions, waiving debts. I think I'll leave that question to His Excellency for comments. The issue of licensing, stoppage of the licensing, and bringing in others. I don't think there's going to be a vacuum. I didn't hear as if the ministry will stop doing its work. I think we talked about specific issues, specific companies being investigated. And I think the Honorable, CS Medical Intori can comment on that. Then the other issue of course, even brokerage, whether there are others here waiting. Kenyans are always looking for opportunities. And I hope the gentleman who asked a question is not trying to tell us to stop doing anything so that we don't change anything, that we may just so that we just uphold the status quo. The other issue that probably Your Excellency you could comment on is the issue of the legislation. I remember very well the legislation proposes formation of an authority. I would like to hear the government policy on this, because it expunges the coffee as a commodity, and the management, development and promotion and everything else to do with the coffee outside, pulls it outside AFA. I think that's something that you need to comment on. Because when you go to do the legislation, we don't want to have too much of to and fro or conflict in government, policies. Finally, so that I can give the very last, and this is Honorable Kreito Murungi, and then Honorable Nyaga, and then we shall have the His Excellency, the Governor of Baringo.
Yeah, thank you, Your Excellency. I have had the issues of debt waivers, at least from the Machakos County. The burden of debt is weighing on cooperative societies, coffee cooperative societies in many parts of this country. I would like to propose that all debts that have been incurred by coffee farmers and have been given by national government institutions be reviewed, because I think the reasons why they may not have paid for the debts is because of crop failure and marketing challenges that happened in yesteryears. So I think for now, I would propose that government looks at the possibility of waiving those debts, but then in the legislation that we are doing, we inbuilt in the criteria for addressing challenges of coffee, debts to coffee farmers, so that it is possible to manage the credit that is being given to farmers, so that the rate of repayment is commensurate with the ability of the farmers to take the debts. That's my suggestion. Baringo County is one of those counties that have a heavy burden of debts, and sometimes they fear even selling their produce such that it can come back through the cooperatives, because they sell it through the private individuals. These people you are calling cartels, because the cartels will give them money as credit, but the cooperative system cannot be able to support them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please make your comments very brief. The Honorable Kreito Murungi, and then Nyaga. Then we stop there.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll give final comment around here. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excellency, the Deputy President, our ministers, governors, and the other leaders who are here in this very important meeting. I have only 3 comments to make. First, I want to congratulate our members of parliament for forming the coffee caucus. Indeed, when we were in the parliament over 20 years ago, we were in Kotepa, as Ndrega said, and we were a very strong lobby for the coffee farmers in this country. We made a lot of noise. So I think it is good for us to encourage you to continue making noise for our farmers. While in that caucus, we actually passed a law which we are talking about today. We passed a coffee CDF, the Coffee Development Fund. And the Coffee Development Fund was supposed to stabilize prices and support farmers with inputs and labor, etc., etc. That law is there, but it was repealed when NAFA was enacted. So I'd like to invite you to look at that law because we already researched on it, and it was a very good law which will support some of the proposals which are made here today. When I was in the Senate, I was the chairman of the Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries Committee. That time when we were dealing with the policy, we traveled the world. We went to Brazil, went to Costa Rica, we went to Ethiopia and other places. And I think the main lesson that we learned was in a cooperative society in Ethiopia, the Oromia Cooperative Society. And the trick there was just about payments. You don't have to wait for coffee to be processed for the farmer to be paid. Once the farmer delivers cherry, a mechanism should be made possible for that farmer to be paid within the week or at least at a lesser time. The government and the publicized the coffee prices in all the markets. And we saw coffee just being sold like bananas or other things we sell here. So we should not mystify this by pretending that the coffee belongs to a farmer when it does not. So what we need is to empower our societies. Indeed, in Ethiopia, societies were given money so that when the farmers deliver coffee, they are paid there and then. There are 2 systems. One was through aggregators. An aggregator, once you sell your coffee to an aggregator, mnamalizana hapo hapo, there is no bonus, there is nothing to wait for. But even the societies in Ethiopia, when they bought coffee from farmers, they had to pay farmers cash. The society is left to do with the coffee, the farmer goes back. So I think there's a system. This 3 billion you are talking about, I think should have been given, not for purposes of inputs because the Minister of Agriculture is dealing with that. But we could put that into the fund so that it can be used to pay farmers when they deliver coffee. The other lesson we should learn is this one from Colombia. The National Coffee Federation, from the model which the farmers presented, I think they've done a lot of research. The federation was supposed to be a lobby group, a voice for the farmers. But if you look at the Colombian Federation, it's much more than that. The federation not only represents farmers, but it is also the federation which seeks coffee markets, it negotiates prices, and it is also the one which distributes farm inputs, to the farmers. So I think we should understand the Colombian model a bit more. The idea of getting coffee board to be doing those things, I think would be a wrong one. Coffee board should just be a regulator. It should be just an oversight body on behalf of the government. So I think the conference is very good. Very good ideas have come from farmers, and I think those should be taken into account as amendments into the law. Otherwise, finally, allow me to thank His Excellency the Deputy President very much. When I see him, he reminds me of Matiba. Matiba was a very determined person. And for him, it was Kuga, Naweka, to do, to say and to do. That is GACHAGUA. 2, Matiba's motto, forwards, ever, backwards, never. We have been on this coffee treadmill for many years, for 30 years. Let us make this a turning point in the coffee industry in Kenya. Thank you so much.
Senator Nyaga. Senator Ndwega.
Thank you. I do not want to add to anything except to comment on the issue of debts that came from Machakos. That debts were waived and they were never waived in his place. I want to confirm that debts were waived in those places. I was in charge and I know they were waived there. The danger here is that if we don't pass this law now, debts will continue to accrue. All these marketers will continue to give our factories debts, loans, and we will keep talking about debts, never mind what else we do. But those debts, all of them, the Kibaki administration, and I was in charge, we paid 5.2 billion. In fact, that year I came there myself, personally. Thank you.
Two questions have not been answered. I'll call the Honorable Muchomba to answer the question on tourism. We'll go back. We'll finish there now. Please, we want to move out of this side to that side so that His Excellency and the team of His Excellency, the Governor of Tharaka Nithi, and the CS Chelugoi and CS Mideka can make a comment as His Excellency closes. So we want to be out of here.
Much obliged. Allow me to...
Please take half a minute.
Thank you. Allow me to respond to Rugoro, the coffee farmer who asked about coffee tourism. It would be a very good idea for us to have coffee tourism. As you are aware, Githunguri is a very good example of dairy tourism in Kenya. We receive approximately 100,000 visitors per month who come to our farms to learn about dairy, and they also buy a lot of our calves and our in-calves. And I'm sure we make quite good money out of that. So if we can replicate that into coffee industry, it would be fantastic. But we have a challenge. Your Excellency, about 2 weeks ago, I was in Japan. And I happened to meet the Japanese Specialty Coffee Association, a very strong association. And they told me that they only deal with coffee from Burundi in Africa, the Blue Mountain coffee from Rwanda, and coffee from Ecuador. The reason why they deal with those coffees is because they are 100% specialty coffee. Matters Europe Gap are very sensitive to such markets. And of course, you know, when it comes to issues of Europe Gap here in Kenya, we do not have the certificates well because of the use of pest control. Your Excellency, we do need to concentrate quite heavily on pest control board, because when I came back from Japan, I did my research, and from the available information from pest control board, we have 321 pesticides that are listed by pest control board. But according to the regulations that Japanese are using, we are only supposed to be using 103 pesticides. So our coffee, whenever it goes to such markets, is being rejected. I think Mwalimu Mosho had mentioned that here. It is true. They even gave me a copy of the letter that has given a warning that Kenyan coffee will not be allowed in Japan market for the next 3 years. That is a very, very serious letter. So I think we can go that direction of tourism, but I think we have some homework to do here at home. Thank you very much.
Okay, we now wind up. The Honorable Mukunji, one question to His Excellency, and then we can move to...
Thank you, Your Excellency. I just want to make a proposal on the issue of debt and cherry fund. Your Excellency, number one, my farmers yesterday told me that the cherry fund, the bureaucracy on getting the money itself is hectic. So they would rather work with the brokers. Your Excellency, we are in the age of hustler fund, where somebody seated in the house can be able to receive money and do his business. Why can't we digitize cherry fund so that farmers can be able to get that money immediately? I think that one, Waziri, you'll be able to check on that so that we can be able to reduce on these brokers taking advantage of the volatility of the farmers' money. Then, Your Excellency, I know we came to your office with a team from Meru because close to 2 of our factories were being auctioned because of debt. And I want to agree with the governor proposal. Your Excellency, under this new revival, I would propose you do another round of waiving of debts for those factories so that the factories that are still reeling with trouble and are part of the problem that we are speaking about today can be able to be assisted. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
I would like the Honorable Kaito Murungi to know that you have taken his comment very seriously, especially in view of the CDF. CDF is still there. The Coffee Development Fund is there. It's called Commodities Fund under AFA right now, and it's still supporting the coffee development sector, it's development of the coffee sector, and then the issue of the Colombia. Your Excellency, the Governor for Tharaka Nithi, please give him the mic. And then, Your Excellency, we will now retire this team, and then you can give away forward because we know you are also committed at 7.
Very briefly, thank you. Your Excellency, this morning when Governor Cecily Mbarire talked about the cartel and named them by names, and Nturi made a commitment that he's going to cancel the license on Monday or Tuesday, we knew they'll come back fighting. I saw the representatives here, and I knew they will start lobbying. The gentleman who has spoken is my friend, and I'm married from Kirinyaga, the chairman of Kiberegu. And fear has been instilled, and they want to use my Kirinyaga people to spread that fear. That Lower Eastern, there will be a gap when we do not have those marketers from Tuesday. It is not true. Because in both, the Lower Eastern constitutes of Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Embu, and Machakos. I want to confirm to Your Excellency that those counties have unions that have already have coffee mills and they have licenses. And therefore farmers can take their coffee to those mills and be able to market them. And those who are not, being given the license, CS Lituri is here, AFA is here. Let them apply, and within a week, I'm sure CS Lituri will give them a license. And therefore, the issue of the gap should not be used to intimidate anybody through arguing a point through the farmers that is not relevant, to negate on the promise that you made, CS. And please, Your Excellency, give us the support. We need it. Thank you.
Sawa, Dr. Mtunga.
Your Excellency, is CS Selcheluwa, you needed to make a comment, and then...
A quick one, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, I'm speaking to the senators and members of Parliament in regarding the 2 bills, one in Senate, the cooperative bill, which is under works right now, and the coffee bill, which has made progress in the House. I would appeal to the members of our National Assembly to hold on, and I think you mentioned that earlier, Your Excellency, because for 3 reasons. The coffee bill does not mention the role of cooperatives and in marketing and also in processing of coffee. The other issue is they need to synchronize the 2 bills so that we don't work at cross purposes. So again, that is a responsibility of the 2 houses, and the issues of cooperative governance are better addressed in the cooperative bill. So when we have things like fit and proper for the managers, for the cooperative directors, their integrity, and then we also need to look at production and which cooperative is viable and which one is not, so that in the end we come back again just almost immediately after such an elaborate engagement and process. The bills have been in the House, some of them for 15 years. So it will really be disservice to us and even the country and the farmers if we don't nip this challenge now, utilize the opportunity that we have, and manage the two bills so that we come out better. Finally, also on Cherry Fund. Cherry Fund is being administered by Kenya National, the KPCU, the new KPCU. It's true that they were given that responsibility to administer the 3 billion. The CEO is coming up in the next program, and he will highlight on the usage. We've been able to come up, you know, it's guided by regulations which were put in place in the last administration. Some of these regulations have actually are the ones that brought this bureaucracy of accessing this cherry fund. However, I have been able to engage KPCU, and we've been able to use our administrative abilities, or rather working with KPCU to incorporate the cooperative societies, and also working with digitalizing application, and we are now proposing amendments in the regulations to improve the uptake of this fund. Possibly, it is possible to apply using your mobile phone through your cooperative society, and then it is approved by your chair or the leadership of that cooperative. Then it is forwarded to KPCU for final approval and disbursement of the farm inputs. So I would expect the CEO is going to come, Timothy Mirugi, to be able to make a better and to clarify and make a better presentation to the members here. Thank you very much.
The Honorable CS for Agriculture.
Okay, Your Excellency, I would like us now to retire this team. Please, a round of applause for my colleagues. Well done. Thank you very much. I think we are making good progress, isn't it? We are very enlightened, and this is very interesting, it's very informative, it's very educative, and I think we'll get somewhere. I wanted us to agree on the way forward because we are consultative leadership. From the program, there is supposed to be another, I'm told, about 40 minutes presentation on the Colombian experience, the Ethiopian experience, KPCU, and others. Then after that, we were supposed to form various groups for the identified thematic areas, so that in the morning, the first 2 hours, the groups sit differently and come up with recommendations, so that once we reconvene the plenary, all the thematic group areas, the groups can present, and then from there we start now agreeing on the final resolutions for implementation. So I don't know whether we want to continue and listen to that presentation, or we close, we start with it in the morning, then we break into the groups. I don't know, what do you think? Morning, because of the level, of concentration. Because I think we have had it the whole day. So let us agree this way, that we reconvene at 8, and please, at least tomorrow, because we are sleeping here, let's start at 8. Then we have 1 hour presentation. Then in 10 minutes, we agree on the various groups. Some people can start working on the groups now. They can work overnight. Then we break. I believe there are certain rooms that have been set. We break for 2 hours so that each group can now study what has been discussed and that is specific to the area they have been assigned, and now come up with recommendations. So then again we convene at about 11, and then we start listening and agreeing on the solutions. So that after lunch, we come back, we read the resolutions, so that by 3 o'clock, we can be able to wind up the conference. Is that in order? But you can stay. I think accommodation is paid up to tomorrow. So there is no hurry. Kwa kwetu wanasema siku ya kuni ni ya. So I think if we can agree that way, I think we can then reconvene
at 8. Then we have those presentations. Then we break into the various groups to deal with the thematic areas. Then we reconvene again, and then we start now working on the resolutions. It is my belief that by the end of the day tomorrow, even Waziri Chalugu, don't worry, even about the cooperative bill, we'll agree tomorrow how we deal with all these things together. And we'll agree also on the timelines. All I want to assure you and the people of Kenya is that the commitment of President William Ruto and our government is so strong that what you are worried about, that some mailers and marketers are intimidating people here, they can try. But at this level where we are, we cannot be intimidated. We cannot be swayed. We have to make hard and practical decisions. We must restore the glory of the coffee subsector, and the farmers must get commensurate reward for their sweat. That we are determined, and that's why we are here. And let these marketers not think we are just here for a joke. If they see we came yesterday, we are here for 3 days. This is a serious affair. But if they consider before tomorrow to increase the prices to 200, we can talk. Can't we? We are reasonable people. Kuliko hii kusuguana na nyinyi na sheria na nini, mkikubali muache kukula profit yote, mkule kidogo, mpatie wakulima pesa ile mingi, tunaweza malizana na nyinyi. This forum here is sufficient. Si tunatosha kuamua. So the marketers, we can give you forum by the way tomorrow. I think we will want to invite them. Wakuje hapa waongee. And argue their case before us. I think it's only fair. You know, the rules of natural justice dictate no person should be condemned unheard. So the secretariat, the conveners, can you look for the marketers? Let us allow them nafasi kesho. After the first presentation, before we break into the various groups for thematic areas, we can listen to the marketers, can't we? And the millers as well. Let them come here. We are reasonable people. We are not hostile. Probably we have formed a wrong perception about them. Probably they can persuade us differently. We start guided and persuaded. We are reasonable people. We are democratic. And we are engaging. We are consultative. We are willing to listen to everybody until we get a solution. And I would prefer if they can think about it at night and come here and give us guaranteed prices, then we can have a good discussion. There's no problem. Sisi toa taka mkulima apate pesa using whatever formula. If the existing marketers can give us the right prices, we don't have a problem, do we? Hiyo yetu ni hapo. So wacha hata hao tutawalika wakuje watueleze. So I would really want to thank all of you for your patience, for your concentration, for your contribution. This has been very informative, and I want to say I am very impressed by the level of passion and resolve to get it right for the last and the final time, so that we will never again have to call a conference to see how to sort out this sector. We will be calling a conference to discuss progress and how to make it better. But they say, if you find yourself in a hole, you stop digging and figure out how to come out. We must stop digging. And that is why we must change many things. But if the marketers come and convince us that is okay, that we can agree na watuongeze pesa, Monday is not far. Kuna shida, tunaweza kubaliana. About what the minister has said, Linturi, we'll agree on the framework to make sure that there is no disruption and there is continuity. And I want to tell you, this government cannot be intimidated by the cartels. Watafuta watu wengine. And the reason is only one, that the president and I and Linturi, Kuria, we are not conflicted. Why it has been impossible to get reforms in the coffee subsector is that previous administrations and the players were conflicted. Wakitafuta, wanakuja wanakuona, wanakuambia hii. Hata kuna wengine walikuwa wananitubania, wanasema wachana na hii maneno DP. Tunaweza tafutia wewe hata kama ni 50 cents for every kilo sold. Sasa nikaambia mimi sisi Kama tulikataa kuchukua pesa ya Uhuru na Azimio tuende pande yao, sasa hii akawa ndio tunaweza chukua ya wakulima. Sisi hatuna haja na pesa. Sisi wengine tumemaliza kuzaa, tumemaliza kusomesha, hatuna haja na pesa. Hii ndio tunapewa na mshahara inatosha. Kwanza mimi bibi yangu ni pastor, hana mahitaji mingi. Sasa hivyo wale wanatafuta pesa, sisi we are not in that league. We are not interested. Our resolve is the farmer to get money. And I'm telling you, if these farmers get money, even as leaders will be happy people. Tukikutana kanisani, wawache kutoa mapeni na mashilingi. Wanatoa manoti. Hiyo ndio sisi nataka. Wanatoa ngirigiri, vile kamera anasema. Hata wewe ni bishop utafaidika kwa kanisa yako. Kwa hivyo hata kanisa tunamsaidia. And I can tell you, even our Christians, they want to give a good offering. Wanakosa kupeana because they don't have the ability. I can tell you, if we sort out the coffee subsector, the tea subsector, milk, miraa, we'll have sorted this country. Churches will be happy. Pastors will be happy. Watu wenye kinyosi watafurahi. Wenye salon watafurahi. Wenye kuuza nyama watafurahi. Watu ya transport watafurahi. Mafundi, watu ya hardware. So let nobody think we are here on a joking mission. This is a very serious forum to sort out the economy of this country and to restore the dignity of our farmers. And it will be done, and it must be done. And we are not just here, just like by the way. We have thought about it, and we have sat down, and we have taken a conscious decision that it must be done. But we must listen to the stakeholders. And you have done well. We have been writing. We'll continue writing tomorrow. Na tunashukuru sana. I want to wish you a good evening. Kawera Mwangaza, you are the happiest. Ile pesa nazunguka hapa Meru ni mingi. So your economy is, there is quite a bit of money this town. Kuweka mafuta, wale car wash, kusafisha magari. Tumechukua mahoteli karibu yote.
Hapa tunakushukuru sana, and we believe that this will not be the first and the last. We have other crops kama majani, miraa, mandizi, na tunajua kwa sababu hii ni mwanzo tu, utatutembelea tena na tena tuwe na kikao kama hiki. We don't take it for granted. Ni Mungu anatusumikia baraka. Kwa hivyo leo tunakukuombea uongozi wako. Wewe ni Jabanito ya Mount Kenya. We have only you in Mount Kenya that you are planning good things for us. Tunasema Mungu akubariki sana, pamoja na serikali ya rais wetu Daktari William Samoei Ruto. Na tumeamua kama Wameru, sisi barabara hiyo. Ukisema right, tunaenda right. Ukisema left, tunaenda left. Na tukiuliza watu wetu ya kwamba hii serikali ambayo inaongozwa na rais wetu na Jabanito inaendelea mbele, we must support. We must support kwa kila njia, kwa kila hali. Na ndio maana tumetokea wengi hivi. It's only that the space is not enough. Tungekuja wengi sana, but we've picked few members ama leaders ambao watawakilisha wengine. Tunasema tunasupport agenda zote za serikali, na karibu tena na tena na tena. Tumefurahia sana uongozi wenu, na sisi tuko hapo kutii sheria na kusema ya kwamba God bless you mightily. Your Excellency, napoenda kuketi, naomba tu hii sio mwanzo. Kuja tena tunaanza crops, leo ni kahawa, tunaamini kutakuwa na mwelekeo. Na at the end of the day, ile kitu tunahitaji ni pesa mifukoni. Kufukuza kateri ni pesa tunaweka kwa mifuko. Kuarrange tunapoweka good policies za coffee, ni pesa tutaweka kwa mfuko. Kwa hivyo tuko kwako leo, tupatie mwongozo, tupatie mwelekeo. Hii jeshi iko nyuma yako, sisi tuko nyuma yako, tusongeshe Kenya yetu mbele, na Meru must be happy. God bless you. Nachukua hii nafasi na mkaribisha waziri kijana wetu Raila, ndio naye aweze kukukaribisha. Asante sana. Makofi kwa kijana wetu. Nasikia vizuri. Naitwa Bishop Kaura Mwangaza. Napenda kuwakaribisha.